Thank you. So beautiful. I am the good shepherd, Jesus said. It would seem that title, Good Shepherd, was one of the ones that truly inspired the imagination of the first century followers of Jesus. Perhaps because for them, that line from Psalm 23 became a very real challenge. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. These people who were threatened with death almost every day for being true to their Lord knew of the loving care of the shepherd that would sustain them through even that dark valley. And so we find in the catacombs, which were the underground cemeteries built by the Romans, we are told throughout the catacombs we have this image of Jesus. One like that. Jesus, the good shepherd, carrying the sheep to safety. How God's people needed to know the presence and the care of the Good Shepherd. I'm not sure about you, but I'm not sure I like being called a sheep. Sheep have this reputation for being a bit silly and easily led astray. But throughout the Bible, God's people are compared to sheep. And the comparison is a good one rather than a negative one. They are peaceful, defenseless animals that need the care of the shepherd. And in turn, they are useful too to the shepherd because of their fleece. They are clean animals, unlike pigs. And many who listened to Jesus speaking those words that Helen read, they understood the context, which maybe we aren't aware of. And so there's talk of the sheep pen or the sheep fold, and I found a picture of what I imagined it would have looked like. There we go. So the shepherds of different flocks would, when nighttime came, herd them into the communal pen, and they would put a guard at the gate to protect them from the thieves and the wild animals that would be on the prowl at nighttime. And in the morning, the shepherd of the sheep would call his sheep out and he would lead them out. And what was true then is true now. As we remind ourselves again, something that we thought about last November, that the Good Shepherd, our Good Shepherd, he comes not to kill, not to destroy, not to spoil our fun. He comes to give us life in all its abundance. In all its abundance. Wasn't it great to have a party last week? Hey? To really celebrate, to show the party heart of God. I remember somewhere reading, I can't think of the name of the author, but he said something along the lines that when Christians and the church learns to party properly, then the churches will be full of people who want abundance and joy and life. And the Good Shepherd comes to bring us that. And the passage reminds us that he knows us. He knows our names. Yes? He knows your name. Okay, I'm still struggling with a few names, especially the children that grow so quickly and it's hard to keep up with them. But the Good Shepherd knows each one's name. He knows your name. He knows more than that. He knows too your nature. He knows who you are deep down. You know, we all see the outward thing. We see sometimes the mask that people wear, always smiling, perhaps. But the Good Shepherd, he looks beyond all of that, and he knows us inside. He sees our nature, who we are. And he loves us, warts and all. And he never stops longing for us to follow him and to be responsive to his calling and his leading. He knows our nature, and he longs for us to become more like him, to help others to find him, to see them in a way that he sees them. The Good Shepherd who loves the flock, each sheep, warts and all. Now, if you were here on the 23rd of November, who was here on the 23rd of November? John, you're not going to say yes in case I asked you something, right? It was just before Advent began. And we had a Names Amnesty Sunday. Do you remember? We all wore name badges. Because I know in even flocks that have been together for a while, we forget each other's names sometimes. And you may recall we all had name badges, and we were reminded that God knows our name. He knows our name, even if other people forget. We're never just a number in a congregation of 100, maybe 100 here. Okay? He knows our names. And at the end of the service, I invited the people present to bring their names at the start of Advent and say, "Yes, Lord, you know me and I know you." Do you remember? And at the end of the service, as we were packing things away, getting ready for Advent and decorating, I didn't know what to do with all the pink names, and I didn't like to throw them away. So they've been on the table, hidden away. And I don't know if everyone that was there then is here now. But what I do know for sure is that God has watched over you. And whether you're here or joining online, God sees you now. And for those whose names we don't know, you know, if you've just been checking out Salvation Army services and you've stumbled across this one, I want to say to those who are joining us online, God sees you. He loves you. He knows your name, and he wants you to serve him and follow him. And maybe you're doing that already. Maybe you're doing that already. But if not, he's calling to you this morning. And so I've added a few hearts to the table this morning. Blank hearts, to stand for all those who maybe we don't know that God's speaking to this morning. Maybe those online, or maybe those who once were here but aren't anymore. They're out there. And perhaps we've forgotten their names. God hasn't. Perhaps we've forgotten about them. God hasn't. God asks that we see those individuals that we rub shoulders with like he does, and love them enough to shepherd them and to nurture them. Because he knows their names. He knows their nature, and he knows their need of him, their need for salvation. He knows our need today. And you know, sometimes we can be in the fold and still be lost. Remember, Jesus tells the parable of the 99 sheep in the fold and the one that was lost. And then he tells, further on in that chapter, he tells the story of two brothers. We know it as the parable of the prodigal son, but actually there are two brothers that are lost. There's the one that goes away and comes back, but there's the one that stays at home and becomes filled up with resentment and anger. And he's just as lost as the one who went away and had a marvelous party Not the good kind of party either, but the bad party. But he comes back. The Good Shepherd knows your name. He knows your nature. He knows your need of him today, whatever that may look like. And what did it say the sheep are called to do? Well, the sheep need to recognize his voice, know him well enough to recognize his voice, and then to respond to his call. To respond and then rely on him and his direction as they leave the fold and hopefully follow him. You know, when I looked at that word, he knows our need. I was reminded that I always used to lecture my girls when they're growing up. They'd say, Mom, I need those latest roller skates. Mom, I need that new bike. Mom, I need that new makeup. And I'd always say, no, there's a difference between need and want, okay? You want those things. All we're promised is what we need. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. When we know the Lord, we have everything that we need. Comfort, protection, an identity. We are never on our own. That's what the Lord promises us today. When I was, head girl, okay. Sad to say, I have to admit it, Alistair will affirm this. I was, my sisters used to call me Little Miss Goody Two-Shoes. Okay, and before that they called me Curly Cloggy Whoppers because I had very curly hair and I used to wear high heel shoes to make me look taller because they were both taller than me. But I started following Jesus when I was 11 and became a leader at high school in my Christian union. And I remember I went on a prophetic exchange when I was 17. And I came across, while I was in the assembly of the other school, I think it was Pinelands, for those who are joining us from South Africa, I remember coming across a reading, someone read it in the assembly, that really struck me and has stayed with me ever since. And it's one that many of you will be familiar with. It's the footprints reading. Do you remember that? This little scenario that is painted of a man who's he's dreaming, and as he dreams, he sees the various stages of his life, and he sees himself walking along the beach, and there are two sets of footprints, one for him and one for his Lord. But he sees that in those times in his life when he's at his weakest, there's only one set. And he says to his Lord, well, where were you when I needed you? When I was on my knees, where were you? And that final couple of lines, the Lord replied, my precious child, I love you and I would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. That just hit me. Wow. You know, I'd only been a Christian 6 years, but some bad stuff had happened. You know, my parents had separated. We'd moved to a totally new neighborhood. It wasn't so nice. And I thought, wow, I'm not on my own. Jesus is carrying me. And that may be his word for you today. You may feel that he's not delivering you, praying to him, and he's not answering, and he's not giving you what you need. You're not on your own. He's with you. He promises to carry you. All you have to do is respond to his voice. That's all you have to do. This morning, we're out of time. We've said so much, haven't we, about the shepherd, the good shepherd and the sheep. This morning I want us to spend the remaining times that we have giving you opportunity for a response. And maybe it's a response for yourself. Maybe you want to come here and rewrite your name on a new pink card. Or maybe there's someone that you know has gone astray and needs to be reminded of the Lord's love. Come and take a heart and put their name on it and bring them to Jesus. Bring them to Jesus again, and then decide how you will reach out to them. What a difference it could make to them and to you. We're going to sing, "The Lord's My Shepherd."